If you think the Greek and Roman gods were all about chariots and togas and philosophical discussions on a, then boy do I have a surprise for you. Hidden away from the prying eyes of the public, there existed secret cults that worshipped the god Dionysus, the god of wine, madness, and ecstasy. And their rituals, well, let's just say they weren't your average toga party. In today's episode, we're going to dive into the world of these secret cults, unravel their mysteries, and discover how Dionysus, one of the most enigmatic gods in the pantheon, was worshipped in ways that defied convention and thrilled those who dared to partake. So grab your goblet, my friends, and let us raise a toast to the god of wine and madness. Before we get started, I wanted to give a huge shout out to our supporters. Your support helps us make the best video content we can, and we really appreciate it. If you're not currently a supporter, but would like to help us out, please consider supporting us. Now let's get back to the video. Now when most people think of Greek mythology, images of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades dividing the universe, or Ares, Athena, and Apollo prancing around on Olympus, probably spring to mind. But Dionysus was different. He didn't fit into the Olympian mold. While the Olympians were known for their orderliness and adherence to societal norms, Dionysus represented the untamed forces of nature, the irrational, the chaotic. His worship involved letting loose, abandoning identity, and embracing the wild, which was scandalous, to say the least. In ancient Greece, where social order and decorum were highly valued, the cult of Dionysus offered a radical departure from the norm. This cult was a haven for those seeking liberation from the constraints of everyday life, where the boundaries between civilization and primal chaos were delightfully blurred. The followers of Dionysus, often referred to as Maenads, or sometimes Maenads, were an eclectic bunch. These devoted worshippers of the god of wine and revelry came from all walks of life, united by their desire to experience the ecstatic side of existence. These cults were primarily composed of women, though men could participate too. They gathered in secret, far from the prying eyes of the general public, to honor their beloved deity and unleash their inner wildness. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly did these Dionysian cults do? What was their daily life like? And how did they worship the god of wine and madness? Well, prepare yourself, because the answer is pure Dionysian magic. Dionysian worship was an immersive experience that left no room for the mundane. Once the initiates entered the sacred space, the outside world ceased to exist. Their days were filled with song and dance, with the rhythmic sounds of flutes and drums echoing through the forest as they moved in perfect unison. Entranced by the spirit of Dionysus, their nights were spent in a frenzy of celebration, drinking wine that flowed like water, losing themselves in the intoxicating embrace of the god. And then there were the rituals. Oh, the rituals. These were not for the faint of heart. In a state of heightened frenzy, the Maenads would brandish thyrsi, staffs adorned with ivy, and pine, and dance in a trance-like state, their voices rising in a chorus of ecstatic chants. They stomped their feet, shook their arms, and whipped themselves until blood streamed down their bodies. All the while, animal skins draped over them like makeshift armor, completing the primal look. As the night wore on, the celebrations reached a fever pitch. Animal carcasses lay scattered around them, and the air hung heavy with the scent of blood and sacrifice. The boundaries between humanity and the animal kingdom blurred as the Maenads howled at the moon, channeling the raw energy of the earth itself. It was a spectacle both terrifying and awe-inspiring to behold, a glimpse into a world where the rules of society no longer applied. Now, you're probably thinking, this sounds crazy, right? Like something out of a horror movie. But to the initiates of the cult, this was more than just a party. It was a journey into the heart of existence, a confrontation with the raw, unfiltered power of the natural world. For them, it was a chance to shed their everyday identities and embrace something greater, something wild, something free. But wait, there's more. The rituals didn't stop at mere earthly revelry. Oh no, they delved into the realm of the afterlife as well. You see, the Maenads believed that through their ecstatic practices, they could commune with the dead. They danced and sang to summon the spirits of the departed, seeking their guidance and wisdom in the midst of their frenzied celebration. They welcomed the dead as honored guests, sharing their wine and their joy, blurring the lines between the worlds of the living and the dead. But who exactly was Dionysus, the god whose worship inspired such fervent devotion and bizarre rituals? Well, he was a deity of many faces, a complex and enigmatic figure whose nature was as multifaceted as the wine he loved so dearly. On the one hand, Dionysus was the embodiment of joy and generosity. He was the god of the grape harvest, the patron of winemaking, and he shared his gift of wine freely with mortals, bringing them happiness and merriment. He was also a god of the theater, inspiring actors and playwrights to create timeless works of art. On the other hand, Dionysus was a god of vengeance, a force to be reckoned with when crossed. When his worshippers were disrespected or his sacred groves defiled, he unleashed his wrath in terrifying ways, driving men to madness and turning their lives into chaos. So, Dionysus was a god of extremes, capable of both great joy and terrible suffering, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of the world and the importance of respecting the balance of life. The worship of Dionysus was shrouded in secrecy, hidden from the eyes of the general public. But why was this, you ask? Well, it's simple, really. The cults wanted to keep their practices safe from outsiders, from those who wouldn't understand their devotion or worse, try to stop them. After all, their rituals were wild, their beliefs unorthodox, and the last thing they needed was interference from the judgmental eyes of the world. The secret cults of Dionysus were not just about escaping the eyes of the world, though it was also about escaping the self. You see, for the initiates, these rituals were a chance to shed their everyday identities and embrace something new, something more authentic. They entered these gatherings as ordinary people and emerged as vessels of the divine, possessed by the spirit of Dionysus and freed from the limitations of their former selves. But don't be fooled, this wasn't a walk in the park. Becoming one with Dionysus required immense courage and a willingness to confront one's deepest fears and darkest secrets. In fact, the process of initiation into the cult was often fraught with peril. The initiates were subjected to tests of endurance, both physical and psychological, designed to break them down and prepare them for a rebirth in the image of the god. Some were whipped until their backs were raw and bleeding. Others were forced to crawl through thorny bushes until their skin was torn and tattered. And still, others were made to stand in freezing rivers until their teeth chattered and their limbs grew numb. Only those who persevered, who endured the pain and emerged battered but unbroken, were allowed to proceed further into the mysteries of the cult. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds intense, to say the least, and you're not wrong. But for those who sought a deeper connection with Dionysus, a more profound understanding of existence, it was worth every bit of pain and suffering, because in the end, they believed it was through this process of purification and rebirth that they could truly become one with the god of wine and madness, and experience the full ecstasy of his divine embrace. Oh, Dionysus, god of wine, madness, and ecstasy, you sure knew how to throw a party. Your secret cults might have been hidden away from the prying eyes of the public, but the influence they had on the spiritual landscape of ancient Greece was undeniable. Your worshippers, the Maenads, they dared to venture into the unknown, embracing the wild, the untamed, the irrational, and in doing so, they changed the very definition of spirituality. They reveled in the mysteries of existence, danced with the spirits of the dead, and communed with the divine through song and trance. But alas, as with all things Dionysian, nothing lasts forever. The secret cults of Dionysus eventually faded from view, becoming a thing of the past. But their legacy lived on, inspiring later mystery religions, influencing the Orphic cults, and even seeping into the early rites of Christianity. Even today, the symbols of Dionysus, the thyrsus, the masks, the grapes, they hold a certain je ne sais quoi, a hint of that primal magic that once captivated the hearts and minds of those who worshipped him. So here's to you, Dionysus, and to those brave souls who dare to follow your path. May your parties in the afterlife be as legendary as they were here on Earth. And remember, when the veil between the worlds grows thin and the rhythm of the drums echoes in your soul, you too can dance with the wild ones and embrace the madness that is life. Well, that's it for today's episode. Let us know in the comments below what you found most fascinating about the secret cults of Dionysus. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more mythological adventures. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.